Hey everybody, Matter here, and welcome to part 47 of my Umineko Let's Play. The last episode, Badler took his test one-on-one against Beatrice, and we got some interesting information. The big thing being that Badler has a sin that he is being punished for by not Beatrice. She said herself, it's not a sin against her, it's a sin against someone, and she is the manifestation of, I'm guessing, whoever this person is that he sinned against the last time. The last time he was in Rokujima, which was when he was 12 years old. So he did something that apparently, the fact he can't remember what the sin is itself the sin. So he did something to somebody that pissed them off enough to basically have all of these events happen, because Beatrice also said because of his sin, people die. And also, quite shockingly, finding out that he's not actually his mother's son. I can't remember what her name is, but Beatrice, I didn't even think about this in the last episode. I didn't even make that comment, but whoever the true mother is of Badler, maybe that has to do with this sin, because there was a lot of time spent on Badler and his mother, so that's quite interesting. So, and it was in red. It was in red that his mother is someone he doesn't even know who it is. So are we going to find out some more information about that in this episode? I don't know. Let's jump back into this game and let's see what happens next. Oh shit, he's just gone. Okay. Well, I guess that's the end of the question arcs. I wonder if Angie's gonna step in and say something. If he can be brought back somehow. Without saying anything more, Beato clouded her own form in darkness as well and disappeared. Is she talking to me? Or is she talking to Lambda Delta? Chasing after Berncastel, who had disappeared first, Lambda Delta disappeared as well. Then after everyone had disappeared, there was no one left in the study. Did I just end this at a really random time? Like, how much is left? I hope I didn't fraction this off so that this last episode here is going to be like 20 minutes long. It returned to silence, almost as though no one had been there from the beginning. Because this feels like the end. No one was here in the first place. The silent study told of that wordlessly, and the sound of the wind and rain began to fill the room bit by bit. In a world where everything had sunk into darkness, Beato questioned herself. Oh, Maria, I haven't seen her in a while. Let's get into Angie. Let's get back to 98? Like, I want to go back to that. I want to see her get to Rokujima. I want to see her face-to-face with Kasumi. I want to see that happen. Maybe Angie's going to go on Rokujima, find something, and that's going to open up the answer arcs.
そうして魔女同盟がどこまでも大きくなって、みんなで楽しく魔法が使えて幸せになれたらと願った。だが
魔法を理解できるのはやはりわらわとそなたの二人だけだった。
私たちは奇跡が巡り合わせたこの世界でたった二人しかいない魔女。マリアはもうベアとさえいれば他には誰もいらないよ。
No.
わらわもだ。そなたさえいればもう誰もいらぬ。
So, yeah, so talking about like Beato as a real person, obviously whoever this person is has a very close relationship with Maria. I'm still trying to figure out who the heck Beato actually is. Why she has such a grudge, or a person has a grudge against Badler to the point that they would set all this up just to punish him, to force him to remember something that he did to this person. And I keep saying as if it's a she. It could be a he. Who's to say that it's not a male character using Beato? I don't know.
マリアージュ・ソルシエールは結成したその一番最初の時点でもう完成していたんだよ。
そうであるな。まさにそうであるな。
It was a witch's alliance to make everyone happy again with magic. I wonder when it got this screwed up. What was I trying to do when I started this game? I can't really remember even that. So it started off as a good thing, like as a positive thing, and then it spiraled. Some negative emotion came out and turned it into something like this. No, I may remember, but that's a feeling I now wish to throw away to the far side of oblivion.
いいよ。何もかも忘れてしまおう。二人だけのマリアージュ・ソルシエール。私たちは互いを認め合う。そして誰にも傷つけられない。だからもう傷つかない。泣かない。すべて忘れよう。ね、ベアと私たちは永遠だよ。
マリ
ア。Wow. This is a side of her that's rare. Maria is the only one who seems to be able to bring that out in her. I really hope it's not done. Oh my gosh, please tell me it's not done, guys. Am I gonna make this like a 5-minute long episode? There we go. Yes! Woo! Hell yeah, I was so worried there. I was like, oh no. Yes, 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 yes. Rokujima with Angie. Let's go. Angie versus Kasumi. This music. No, don't turn it off. This is getting me hyped. I love it. I love it. Keep playing, keep playing. I'm in the mood. Aw. Amakusa turned the radio off. The world of cheery sounds was immediately swallowed up by the roar of the sea and blotted out by the ocean's gray. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy we get this. I don't like the bobbing up and down. I never like the parts that take place on the boat because it makes me a little nauseous, but I'll deal with it because I'm so excited to see how this is going to end. The boat captain pointed, but I couldn't really recall how it looked 12 years ago. I'd believed that my memories of back then would come flooding back into my mind, but no memories were coming back to me at all. After the incident, the island was sealed off and left to the wild. Probably that's understandable, I had to tell myself, to stop myself from feeling somehow sad and hurt. But I at least remember one thing. You could say it would probably be the same anywhere on the sea, but at least this one thing I do remember. The cries of the seagulls. I do remember those. I almost never went to the ocean when I was young. So to me, everything that symbolized the ocean meant Rokujima and my family getting together. In short, it was a symbol for the happiness of going out with my family. However, at this point in time, it even seems doubtful whether that was happiness at all. In my younger days, the trip had felt like a relaxed family vacation, but considering my parents' situation at the time, it was surely a very difficult trip to handle, with the distribution of the inheritance filling the place with the smell of flaring tempers and fuses about to blow. I can remember giggling all over the place, completely ignorant of my parents' feelings.
六軒島ですかい。すべての始まりで、すべての旅の終着駅ってわけだ。
Amakusa tried too hard in an attempt to speak for my innermost feelings. The boat slowly rounded the island. And as the angle changed, I hoped that my memories of the island silhouette at the time might come back just a little. But in the end, even as the inlet was completely hidden by the cliffs, I wasn't able to remember anything.
船長、さっきのもう一つの船着き場の話を聞かせてください。
六軒島には船着き場は一つしかないことになっとる。だがそれは表向きだ。
島裏のもう一つの隠された船着き場。
Oh, so that might be a way that whoever this person is, whoever the perpetrator, may have been able to get in and perhaps escape without anybody knowing. If there's a secret harbor that only a certain number of people may know about. Maybe.
六軒島そのものね。誰も知らない二つ目のもう一つの顔がある。
六軒島は後ろ宮家の領有する島だ。だが金蔵さん個人が所有する島。
Okay. So an
もう
island,
一つの顔がある。
an island that only Kinzo knew about. That's the where the mansion is, right? Because up until a very short time ago, only a very few select people, including the servants, knew about that mansion, and maybe that's from that mansion area is where the other harbor is.
一つの島、二つの船着き場。
So that reduces the amount of people more. That could be how a person may have escaped or hidden themselves. I don't know.
愛人を囲うためだけに随分と金をかけたもんだ。
もう一つの船着き場のことを。
Yes, let's get into this. It narrows our suspects.
限られとる。金蔵さん、執事の源氏さん。わしら船の関係者。
It was you. You're the one who did it. That's why you went into hiding.
高齢の使用人がほんの数人だ。
Okay, the oldest servants. So not Canon and Shannon.
南城診療所の先代先生も熊沢のばあさんも知っとった。数えりゃ結構いるような気がするが、とにかく知っている人間はわずかだった。
そのもう一つの屋敷について教えてください。
クワドリアンちゅう名前のお屋敷があるとだけは聞かされとった。わしは船を離れることを許されんかったから一度も見たことはないが。
船着き場からは見えないくらいに遠いということですかい？
わからん。ただ隠し屋敷だからな。外からは見えん場所に建ててあったろうな。とにかくクワドリアンについてはあの島の最高の秘密だった。
クアドリアンにベアトリーチェが住まわされていた、あるいは幽閉されていたという説がありますが、船長はどう考えますか？
わしはクワドリアンへの雑貨も運んでおった。その中に女しか使わんような、それも高級なもんが含まれることも多かった。わしもその説を確信しとる。
では船長はベアトリーチェって女を直接見たことはないわけですかい？
ない。20年近く出入りをしたが一度も見たことはない。
20年？ひゅー。ってことは最低でも年齢プラス20ってわけだ。こりゃマドモアゼルは期待できねえな。
だがクワドリアンへの出入りはある日を境にぷっつりとなくなっちまった。
That's when she escaped, I'm guessing.
今からだいたい
And died.
30年前だから昭和43年頃だったと思う。
ぷっつりと突然？
食料やゴミなどの運搬往来でわしらは決められた日程で裏に行っとった。ああ、裏っちゅうのはクワドリアン側の船着き場のことだ。
わかります。それで？
ある日源氏さんから急な連絡があった。 別の指示があるまで裏には行かなくていいって言うんだ。
別の指示とは？
特にはなかった。早い話が、ある日突然裏には今後定期便はいらない、食料も届けなくていいと言われたわけだ。わしは最初クビにされたのかと思ったよ。だがすぐに気づいた。それにクワドリアンのことを知る使用人たちの様子からも、なんとなく察しがついた。
Because there was a human woman, right? And she died? At least that's what Rosa saw. Rosa said that she went to the mansion, she saw Beatrice, and then Beatrice fell off the cliff and died.
ベアトリーチェが死んで食料を届ける必要も世話人を送る必要もなくなった。
わしはそう考えとる。それっきり裏へ船を出せという指示は受けてない。しかし裏については死ぬまで何も喋るなと。その後源氏さんが直接わしのところへ来てえらく強く念を押した。
その20年間も放置されていた隠し屋敷にどうしてエヴァおばさんが？
On that day, 12 years ago, Ushormia Ava somehow escaped harm alone in a hidden mansion 2 kilometers away from the regular mansion. Why was she in a hidden mansion that had forgotten for 20 years?
ワイドショーで見たよ。わしにも何が何だかさっぱりわからん。エヴァさんを裏へ案内したことは一度もない。どうしてどうやってクワドリアンを知りたどり着いたのか、わしにはさっぱり見当もつかない。
That's probably what that underground passageway she took led her to a hidden room, probably under Kuradorian. And I'm guessing that the riddle is how to get to the mansion. The whole thing about the sweet fish rivers and stuff. Maybe like intersecting rivers or something. Some like it showed her how to get to the mansion.
裏のクワドリアンに陸路で行くことは不可能だったのかしら？
もしも話通りに未開の密林だとしたら、おめかしした奥様風情に踏破できるもんじゃありませんぜ。
じゃあ回路？モーターボートみたいなものがあったとか？
まさか。
Underground passage, underground
あの
passage.
二晩の台風はそりゃひどいもんだった。船なんぞ使えるわけもない。
じゃあ
Yes.
屋敷とクワドリアンを直通する、例えば地下通路のようなものがあったとか。愛人の家へ出入りするのに毎回船の用立てが必要なんて面倒でしょ？
全長 2km の六軒島の対角線上に存在する屋敷をつなぐために、そんだけの長い地下トンネルを？
2 kilometers isn't that long. Yeah, it would take a long time to build a tunnel, but Kinzo's got the money. Why is that so far out of realm of possibility?
バカにしてところ
Yeah,
で
exactly.
愛人のために隠し屋敷まで作っちまう大富豪だ。それも否定できんところですな。どうなんですか、船長。
わしは海の人間だ。穴のことはわからん。だが硫黄島で旧日本軍は25キロのトンネルを掘ってみせたぞ。あの金蔵さんなら2キロくらい掘ってみせてもわしは何も驚かん。
やっぱりおかしな島ね。私たちはこの島のことを未だ誰一人何も知らない。
I can't wait for the showdown with Kasumi. It's been a while since I've seen her, so I can't exactly remember what her name. I think it's like Kasumi. The boat reached the shore. There would be a short walk to reach the mansion.
わしはここで待っている。
Hopefully he's not gonna die. Hopefully he's not gonna get killed by her men, because he seems like a good dude.
屋敷は向こうだ。当時の道が残っているだろうが、草木で覆われてしまってるはずだ。迷わんように気をつけてな。
ほんじゃ行きましょうかね。
ありがとう、天草。あんたもここで待ってて。
ま、そう言い出すんじゃないかと思ってましたぜ。
届け物をするだけよ。 あなたが一緒だと向こうが迷惑するの。あんたの毒素強そうだから。
毒素はて。
すぐに戻るわ。今日の本命はクアドリアンの方だもの。届け物をしたらすぐに戻ってくるわ。
Angie put on her knapsack and grabbed the flower she was planning to offer.
さしてやれ若いの。行ってこいお嬢ちゃん。あんたの家族が待っている。
Ah, he's such a good dude. Like I said, he feels some responsibility for it, and he knew her when she was little, so it's like kind of the closest thing she's got to family at this point. I had never been on a road like this, but I had no trouble finding my way. If I walked straight ahead, it would probably guide me to the final destination for everything. The vegetation certainly was incredible, and you would lose track of the path if you were careless enough to let your attention drift. But the road that was left was much better than I'd imagined. Still, that didn't change the fact it was a bad road. Contrary to the distance shown on the map, I was forced to walk a long way. The forest was deep and dark. At the time, I'd been threatened into staying away from the forest because a witch lived there. Of course, that fear is gone now, but I feel it. Other people may not be able to, but I can feel the presence, like an aura, of the golden witch, Beatrice. Massive, oddly shaped rocks scattered here and there, overgrown trees and ivy, the voices of birds and bugs. I can feel it. I can feel that the witch is here. Ahead, an ivy-covered construction site fence and warning sign stood. No entry, Tokyo Metropolis. That was written on it. Oh, right. When you think Tokyo, you tend to think of a city. But address-wise, even Rokujima is a rightful part of Tokyo Metropolis. Apologizing to the sign for my mistaken impression, I climbed over the fence. When I made it up to the steep slope beyond that, my field of vision rapidly expanded, and a fresh sea breeze blew through my hair. It was like the top of a little hill. Below me was a vast view of the island. I could only see desolated forest and rocky crags spread out below me. But somehow, I realized that the mansion was probably somewhere around there. The steep downward slope beyond this hill had probably been caused by landslides from 12 years of wind and rain. It had become a slant filled with crags you might even call gentle cliffs. Though it would be easy to tumble down, it looked like climbing back would be pretty difficult. It seemed proceeding any further would be impossible. If I continued any further, I wouldn't be able to return. In other words, this is the border. Between 1986 and 1998. That day and today. And this world and the other.
ここがこの旅の終着点みたいね。
As the strong wind blew Mammon and Sakataro's hair, they looked down from the hilltop. Oh yeah!
ここからじゃ
Forgot about those
さっぱり
guys.
わからないわ。お屋敷はどこ？もっと近づきましょうよ。無理だよ。戻ってこれなくなっちゃうよ。
We won't be able to come back. Huh. He's right. This is 1998, and I am the Ushirimiya Angie who has been left all alone. At first it was a journey to die, but not anymore. It has become a journey to accomplish something.
だからごめんね。二人あの日の私なら何も戸惑わずにこの崖を降りるだろうけれど。
ビルの屋上から飛び降りた後ろにはエンジ
Right? She's like,
情けない。
yeah, I still wonder how she managed to do that. Yes, there was something that was able to catch her or whatever, but still, this is a little different.
ごめんね。
ここでも同じだよ。
But like she said back then when she jumped off that skyscraper, she didn't really care whether she lived or died.
あの日の風が感じられるから。こんな風だったっけ？うん、もうすぐ来てくれるよ。みんな。
Oh, is she going to be reunited with the ghost of her family? Aw, Sakataro said it as though it were completely natural. And I believed it. Mom, Dad, Oni-chan, all my relatives, and those fun servants. And Maria Oni-chan, she's like, as long as it's not Ava. No Ava allowed.
私よ、エンジェよ。私は帰ってきたわ。
When I started my final journey to expose the past of 12 years ago, its goal had been abstract, and I hadn't understood. But now, I have no doubts. This journey was induced by all kinds of thoughts and fates over 12 years. A journey to end things, for me, Ushurmiya Angie, and a journey to end things as the final witch of Mariage Sociale. I came here as the final daughter of the Ushurmiya family, and as the final witch.
お父さん、お母さん、お兄ちゃん、ごめんね。先にマリアお姉ちゃんとの挨拶をさせてね。
A strong gust of wind from behind urged me on. That gust took just my soul out from inside my body to the vast forest beneath me, and though I couldn't see it from where I stood, I believed that it would fly me to the mansion on that day, to where everyone was, to where Maria Oni-chan was. And so, even though my body was on top of the hill, a strong wind blowing against me, my soul was now certainly dancing through that sky. The vast, vast sky of Rokujima. Below me was the green of many trees, but I can tell. I can comprehend the presences of my family and relatives and all the servants. And Maria Oni-chan too. I could even comprehend Maria Oni-chan as a witch. It was vast, more vast than any space I had imagined up until now.
マリアお姉ちゃん、聞こえる？聞いて。
Angie shouted to the Maria of that day that she had been through a long journey, and that she had learned just how much she had wounded Maria on that day when she was young. Having understood magic, I now understand everything about the world Maria wanted to show me. It's so warm and overflowing with kindness and happiness. She had wanted to become even happier by sharing that world, but I had trampled it.
だから私、今こそ全部理解したの。魔法を理解した。私たちの魔法はきっととてもささやかで身近にあふれてる。でもそれは誰の目にも見えるものではないのよ。魔法とは。ええ、はっきり言えるわ。
Without love, it cannot be seen. I'm sorry, One-chan. I've already been excommunicated from the Witches' Alliance, but after all this time, I now understand how wonderful it is. And I know that after that day I wounded you, Mariage Sociale was transfigured into something different from what you truly desired. Back in those days, even magic that allowed you to vent your anger by cursing people was probably important to you. Your environment was unhappy enough for you to be allowed that.
でも、もうそんな悲しい日々は終わったよ。だからお姉ちゃんの魔女同盟を元の優しいマリアージュ・ソルシエルに。
The grimoire was in my hands without me realizing it. The strong winds were rapidly blowing its pages, one after another. It had been a kind world at first. What to do to create magic so that candy rains from the sky? What to do to create magic so tomorrow's dinner becomes creme croquettes? What to do to create magic so that tomorrow's weather is good when you go out and you have a fun day? New magics of happiness were created one after another, coloring her world with kindness. Those days were flipped through one after another, and the days and months began to flash by like memories. The pages with drawings that were colorful gradually changed into pages colored only with black ink, eerie magic circles and demon summonings, evil magic for harming people. What to do to create magic so the class bully catches a cold? What to do to create magic so you know who in class gets seriously injured and dies? What to do to create magic so a bus with all the bullies on it falls off a cliff? Malicious magics were created one after another, filling the pages and her heart. This has got to be connected to Beatrice, right? And with that, you know, the magic was supposed to be something good at first. And Beatrice said it herself, like, it was supposed to be a fun thing, a happy thing, a positive thing, and then it got warped. So now I'm like, does this sin what Balor did, does it have to do with Maria after all? And by, like, corrupting Maria, it corrupted Beatrice as well? I don't know.
私がお姉ちゃんを傷つけたから。
But then Angie's got that sin as well, but she's remembered it and she's asking for forgiveness.
マリアージュ・ソルシエルはこんなになってしまった。お姉ちゃんは 黒き邪悪な魔女じゃない。
Now I'm thinking maybe it does have to do with Maria. Maybe all this has to do with Maria and someone is doing this on her behalf. Because Maria herself is not behind the killings. I don't believe that.
白き無垢で無邪気な優しい魔女だったのよ。私が元に戻してあげる。元のみんなを幸せにする魔法を世界中に振りまいていたマリアお姉ちゃんに戻してあげる。そのために私はここへ来た。運命に導かれてきた。お姉ちゃん、聞こえてる？その姿を私の前に見せて。
That voice rode an even stronger wind and was sent 12 years into the past. Then the wind gradually ceased and silence fell. Crunch, crunch. I could hear the sounds of gravel being stepped on. I heard those footsteps and was surprised at that miracle. Without a doubt, those footsteps were Maria One-chan's.
マリアお姉ちゃん。
It's Kasumi, surprise, bitch! And then just like kills her. Oh, is it two? It is!
カスミよ。
Oh! Oh! Yes! Yeah, oh no, wait, this is bad. Angie doesn't have Akuma. Whatever his name is, the bodyguard. Oh no.
ようやく見つけたわよ。エンジェちゃん。
Is Angie about to get, like, pushed off the cliff? Before I knew it, Aunt Kasumi in her black suits, a total of 7 people who didn't resemble Maria Oni-chan in the slightest. When Maria comes in and just kills everybody and be like, I forgive you, were standing there surrounding me. This is the showdown I've been waiting for. But it feels like this, she's outnumbered, this is bad, unless the ghosts come and help her, or Beatrice helps her, I don't know. It felt like my voice had just been about to reach Maria One-chan too. Because of these guys' toxin, the magic got interrupted. Angie clicked her tongue at that, but Kasumi probably didn't hear it that way.
そのお花は亡くなった家族への？偉いわ。それ投げるんでしょ？いいわよ。それまで待ってあげる。
Before what? Angie could more or less guess. The way the black suits had their hands unnaturally stuck in their pockets made me realize they were obviously in possession of the handguns. Maybe she will jump off the cliff and she'll survive through magic. It's the amazing skyscraper diving, cliff diving Angie who will survive. This is a deserted island. There could be no more convenient place to dispose of someone. I have absolutely no interest in the family matters of the Sumadera family. But if I die, all that wealth will roll right into the Sumadera family coffers. Unlike me, they probably have a great deal of interest in it. Of course, the Ushiramiya group has a stake in this too. It seems that if the massive amount of stock I own suddenly goes to the Sumaderas, it will be pretty bad for the Ushiramiya group as well. And so, they've apparently gotten themselves embroiled in a feud over me. That's probably why President Okanagi gave me Amakusa as a guard. Having Amakusa wait on the boat was a regretful mistake.
おばさん、いつからここで待ち伏せを？
早朝からよ。おかげですっかり待ちくたびれちゃったわ。何しろ喫茶店もお化粧室もないからね。
トイレもないから、お上品におかげで用を済
Oh,
ませてい
Angie.
たわけ
I
ね。
love how she's not even, like, scared or bothered at all.
仮にもスマデラ家の血を半分引いてる淑女が、そんな汚らわしい言葉を使うんじゃないわ。やっぱりスマデラキリエの子ね。気品のかけらもありゃしない。
She grabbed me by the hair and forced my face up to hers, and then spat in it. My words are filthy, but her spit's not to be outdone.
おばさんが私のことを話すと、いつも母さんのことばかり。私、そんなにも母さんに似てますか？
ええ、似ているわ。その生意気そうな目つき。
That's a compliment. Kyrie is awesome.
鼻も口もそっくりよ。自由奔放で無責任。歴史と伝統あるスマデラ家の重みなど何も考えず、自分勝手に家を飛び出したわ。おかげで、私の人生はずっとその尻拭い。
まさにあんたの人生、クソまみれね。
I was slapped on the cheek, my ear took a heavy hit, and for an instant, my head rang. She pulled me around by the hair and threw me on the ground. And without a moment's pause, she kicked the ground, covering me in sand.
当に姉さんに似てきたわ。その目つき、そのどこか小馬鹿にした目つきよ。はあ、思い出すわ、いろいろと。
哀れな人ね。きっと幼い頃から何かにつけて母さんに比較されて蔑まされてきたんでしょうに。そしてあんたは一生その惨めさから解放されやしないわ。
お前みたいな小娘にはわからないわよ。あんたのお母さんはね、何もかもを投げ出してスマデラ家を逃げ出した負け犬なのよ。その負け犬のせいで私がどれほど迷惑したことか。
あんたの迷惑なんか私の知ったこっちゃないわ。私の生まれる前の話をされても困るわよ。あんたの人生はいつ始まるの？始まりゃしないわ。
Wow. I love it. She talks about how, she was kind of compared to her sister. And here she is being talked down to like a child by the child of her sister. That's gotta sting.
いつまでもいつまでも永久に死んだ母さんに嘲笑われ続け、そのまま死ぬのよ。というか死ねば。なんで生きてるの？
この口の減らないガキが。あんたたち、ちょいとお茶をしてやりなさいな。
Oh, maybe she's gonna have magic. Maybe she'll get like Shannon magic. Well, she will be able to create a barrier if they try and shoot at her. I'm guessing she's gonna jump from the cliff and be safe somehow.
お任せを。口の利き方も知らねえクソガキが。少し勉強させてやるぜ。
The black suits dashed up to me, violently grabbed me by the collar, and dragged me down.
私が一服終えるまでに適当に可愛いメイにちょいと身の程を教えてあげなさい。
Damn. Okay, this is not looking good for Angie. Someone step in, please. Sumadera Kasumi. She was a pitiable person to think of it. To the outside world, the women of the Sumadera family were trained to be in a position to support and defer to the men in the prominent positions. But in actuality, strong leadership was demanded of them, so that they could manage all the people under them. The role demanded of them was that of a female commander. Taking charge of the Sumadera family with all its proud history required an extraordinary level of commanding presence. It was an unimaginably heavy responsibility. Normally, this would have been demanded of Kyrie. Kyrie had undergone that harsh training, and Kasumi, as the younger sister, should have been able to just take it easy. No, in fact, she had lived like a lazy, selfish, and affluent princess, sneering at Kyrie, who had been given the heavy responsibility. And then Kyrie's like, fuck you, and then just took off. I love it. However, Kyrie was suddenly disinherited. She had refused the fiancé her parents had arranged, and had gotten pregnant by her lover, Ushiramiya Rudolph. From the Sumadera family's perspective, even though the Ushiramiya family held a vast fortune, it was a family which had already collapsed, a family not in their league. And to become not even a legal wife, but a lover to the second son of that family. Normally, no one would be shown mercy for something so dishonorable, not even a daughter of the main family. They would wrap her up in a mat, stand a pull on end, and throw her either into the Pacific Ocean if the pull fell to the right, or the Sea of Japan if it fell to the left. But Kirie's punishment was nothing but disinheritance, an unbelievably lenient decision. After that, the Sumadera family began receiving preferential treatment from a section of the Ushiramiya group. There must have been some kind of backroom deal. In other words, Kyrie took advantage of the Ushiramiya family's financial support to leave the Sumadera family openly. Well, that's Kyrie. She's always thinking. Kasumi watched it happen in shock. No, she even disparaged her dishonorable sister as a loser. But eventually, she learned the heavy responsibilities Kyrie had borne would be passed on to her. And then, for the first time, she realized she had been outwitted. Of course you did, bitch. Of course you did. Even when she's going with her emotions and doing things for love, Kyrie was still thinking of the implications, how she could turn it to her advantage.
一度殺されたと言ってもいい。あの日に私は一度殺されて地獄のような日々に突き落とされたのよ。
それまで人生舐めてきたツケじゃない。
口の減らねえ小娘だぜ。うら
The black suit punched me in the gut, and I doubled over. But I was quickly grabbed by the collar and made to stand up again. As she continued to cold-heartedly look down upon Angie, Kasumi blew out smoke. The hard days after Kyrie left were floating through her mind. Until then, she had been allowed to simply be a rich young lady, unrestrained and unaffected. Only Kyrie, the older sister, had been strictly trained, and she, the younger sister, had been able to live as nothing more than a princess. Then suddenly, everything was turned over to such a degree that her life tumbled and crashed.
私の人生、生活も生き方も何事情を知らない親類からは姉さんの不名誉を理由にどれだけ蔑まれたことか。呪ったわ。あなたのお母さんを血を吐くほどに呪ったわよ。
そりゃ嬉しいわ。これからもよろしく。
A kick landed in Angie's side as she lay prostrate on the ground. Angie didn't stand up again, so she continued to lie there like a caterpillar, getting kicked every time she spoke up.
姉さんを後ろ宮グループのパーティーで見かけたわ。あいつ旦那と一緒でとても幸せそうに笑ってやがったわ。私に全部を押し付けて自分だけ幸せに。
だから何？私に八つ当たりするとどうあんたが幸せになるってわけ？私に八つ当たりすると時間が巻き戻って歴史が変わったりしてくれるわけ？
あんたさっき言ったわね。私の人生はいつ始まるのって。いくら恨んでも八つ当たりしても時間を巻き戻すことなんてできない。じゃあ私は死ぬまでこうして死んでもなお姉さんを恨み続けて？冗談じゃないわ。いつまで私は姉さんの亡霊に苛まれてなきゃならないのよ。だから考えたのよ。これを成し遂げたら全ての恨みを忘れてやり直せるってね。
Angie was about to respond to this with another bitter comment, but stopped, because she would be kicked again if she responded. Even if Kasumi didn't say any more, it wasn't difficult to imagine what she meant. Kasumi was thinking of bringing an end to her hatred of Kyrie by taking revenge against her daughter, Angie. Talk about pushing your problems onto other people.
ほら、立ちなさいよ。そんなにこの島が大好きなら、しっかり深く埋めてあげるわよ。その若さで死にたくないでしょ。母が迷惑をかけてすみませんでしたとか言ってみたくはならない？
誰が言うもんか。
Yeah, of course Angie's not gonna say that.
エンジェ様、ダメ！こいつらを挑発しちゃダメです！ここは表向きだけでも調子を合わせて時間を稼ぐべきです。
くだらないプライドは燃えないゴミの火に出しとけってよく言うわね。
天草さんは天草さんが来てくれればきっと。ダメ、あいつの姿は見えないわ。エンジ様のバカ！どうして天草を置いてきたんです？
I don't need you to tell me that, Mammon. I'm already right in the middle of regretting it. I walked a long way to get here. The forest was very thick. There's no way the disturbance here will reach the boat. As Kasumi took her sweet time smoking that single cigarette down to the filter, I was continuously laid into by the black suits, however they deemed fit. The moment I grabbed my head to protect it, the top of my head was kicked by someone at a bad angle, and my head filled with stars. This feeling of stars flickering in a world twisted with gray was one I knew well. My life was very similar to the one Sumadera Kasumi led. Oh yeah, right? With Ava. Because I was tormented constantly with all kinds of bullying under the guise of education and training to make me a worthy successor to the Ushirimiya family. Yes, having the inside of my head filled with stars like this is a feeling I know well. When being reprimanded for some error in manners I seemed to have made, the lecture always turned to whether I was fitting to be the successor to the Ushirimiya family or not. On and on about the honor of the Ushirimiya family and how important it was. By the time her rant reached that point, I would forget what mistake I was being blamed for in the first place. Oh god, that look in her face. No, actually, it was the same way for Aunt Ava, too. After all, sometimes she would ask herself, what was I saying again? But in the end, she wouldn't be able to remember and would say something like, she looks possessed.
私が怒っているということは、きっとエンジェが何か悪いことをしたのだろう。なら、その悪いことが問題なのであって、何をしたかなんて今更思い出せなくても問題ない。
Is this a parallel to Battler not remembering what his sin is? There'd be some ridiculous reasoning like that, and then she would continue punishing me. Like being punished for something that you don't even remember doing, or you don't even remember why it's happening. Yes, Aunt Ava's punishments weren't something that would continue until I learned something, or acknowledged my mistake, or apologized. They would continue until Aunt Ava wanted to stop. So even this violence was a bit nostalgic in a way that made me want to vomit. I opened my eyes, and oh look, there's Aunt Ava, right next to Kasumi, who was smoking her cigarette. I could see Aunt Ava, the two of them looking almost as though they were laughing at me together. When I think about it, even Aunt Ava's life might be worthy of sympathy. The responsibilities and pressures of members of the Ushirimiya family, which she had so often mentioned to me, were all things she herself had suffered. This is the other thing. This is the other thing about this story is the trauma being passed down from generation to generation and people not being able to break it. They just, whether they seem to want to or not, they follow in the footsteps of their ancestors and they continue the abuse. Because people cannot voice insults that they have never been subjected to themselves. It was probably the same way for Aunt Rosa as well. As the youngest child of the glorious Ushirimiya family, she must have gone through many tough times. So, just as Aunt Ava acted towards me, are we going to see little baby Rosa? And just as Sumadera Kasumi is acting right now, Aunt Rosa must also have been the same. People push the suffering they've been made to bear onto other people. Otherwise, they can never escape from it. So on, an eternity and propriety, the chain of suffering and sadness never ends. That is the reason Mario Oni-chan's magic was so incredible. Yeah, until it was corrupted and then she wished everyone to die, which was pretty upsetting. With her magic, she did not have to bear the suffering from Aunt Rosa. The pain was probably pushed onto her. Its weight probably tormented her. But Oni-chan did not carry that burden on her own shoulders. She exorcised it and filled her world with happiness. So I'm sure that even if Mario Oni-chan had had children in the future, she would never have pushed the suffering forced down through the generations onto them. The chain of suffering and sadness, which had been inherited by and forced upon each generation for who knows how long, was, by Mario Oni-chan's magic, broken. I feel like for the most part, all the grandkids would probably hopefully do okay. Battler, he rejected his family for a lot of his life, so he doesn't have this weird thing about the honor of the Ushirimiya family. And Jessica, I think she the same way. She seems to push back against it. I would say George maybe. George seems to be kind of the most brainwashed by that, by wanting to follow and give honor to the family. And then Mario, I don't think if she had been able to have kids, she probably would have been a weird kooky mom, but I don't think she'd be an abusive mom.
なーに？私に何か文句でもあるの？
In the past, I would have snapped back and canceled out her hatred with hatred of my own. No, I canceled out nothing. The weight of that which had been forced onto her bears down hard on my shoulders as well. After all, even now, I hate her. So, now that I knew of magic, I looked at the human called Ushirimiya Eva again. What I could see through to was the sad form of a human no different from me, who had lost her family and who bore deep wounds in her heart. Unable to withstand the pain of that torn heart, she was doing nothing except howling with a sad voice, like a lion crying in pain, like a child. It turns out, Ushirimiya Eva was also a person deserving of compassion. She had needed someone to understand the difficulties and pain of her childhood days. I guess all these characters, no matter how bad they are and the things they do, deserve at least a little bit of understanding, a little bit of empathy and compassion. But I can still hate. What's the term? Hate the sin, not the sinner, or something like that. Although sometimes I do end up hating these characters, like Rosa, when she gets into it with Mari. It's hard. With child abuse, it's really hard to see past that. And she too, as the only survivor of the Rokujima incident, who was faced with the inquisitive eyes of all society, who was publicly slandered, who had salt continuously rubbed into her wounds, had needed someone's compassion, in order to let her forget her pain and sorrow for at least a moment. The Black Witch, the very same that possessed Aunt Rosa, taught her magic. It was the same magic of anger and sadness that Beatrice had taught Mario Onichan when she was mourning for Sakotaro after he was torn apart. That same magic, that witch, had surely dwelled inside Aunt Rosa. Is that this whole thing about magic? Without love, it can't be seen. So there's the black magic, when someone's heart is filled with hate. And then there's white magic, like Maria's, which is love. So maybe that's all this magic. It's just people need to get rid of that dark magic, and they need the white magic. So I was wrong to hate Ushirimiya Eva. Perhaps I alone was supposed to have become her ally, the only person in the world who could understand her. What did I say to her when I was young, when she returned alive, all alone? Could it be that the way I acted towards her was as if she had come back by herself after killing all my family? I can't believe it. Aunt Eva, who throughout my life had never been more than an object of and synonym for hatred, is turning into a human who I can understand. And so, I looked right next to Aunt Eva at the form of the Black Witch who taught her the black magic. Aunt Eva was crying. It was only natural. Does the black magic represent trauma? Is that what this is? And white magic is love? And the black magic corrupts people and convinces them to do bad things? Is that what this is all about? Not only did she have no one who would understand her pain of having lost her husband and son all at once, but even I, her only relative, insulted her, saying, "Give me back my mom and dad." I can make the excuse it was the mercilessness of youth, but to her at the time, that was probably cruel enough to sever her heart's last thread. In the following days, the talk shows and magazines publicly slandered her. The truths of her late husband's business and character, and even those about her beloved son, were denied. She no longer had anything left. She could do nothing but cry and howl, trying to forget the sadness for just a few moments, because only while howling could she feel the slightest bit of release, and so the Black Witch taught her how to howl. The one I hated was the Black Witch. The black magic probably did release her from that suffering for just a short while. However, it would never lift that weight from her shoulders. To the contrary, it would force that weight on further victims, filling the world with the weight of hatred. If Aunt Ava was to have a true witch nearby, one who knew of white magic, wasn't that supposed to be me? I had learned the magic to create happiness from Maria Oni-chan. If I could have saved her with that magic, might we not have built up a future with a completely different relationship? All this time, I have hated Aunt Ava, so I never noticed the Black Witch beside her. This is such an allegory for trauma and love, isn't it? This is pretty powerful, actually. Without love, yes, without love, it couldn't be seen. I didn't have any love for her. So now, finally, I'll glare at the Black Witch, the one I truly should hate. Oh my gosh, all this stuff about, yeah, without love it cannot be seen.
あら
You can't see what's really causing all of this.
なに私のことが見えるの
Maybe she needs to apologize to her, apologize to Ava in order to, like, cleanse it.
見えるわ。私が憎むべきはエヴァおばさんじゃなかった。あんたよ。
すごいじゃない。人間の分際で魔女の私が見えるなんてね。それでその目つきは何だと言いたいわけ？私が憎い？
憎い？ええ、憎いわ。でも少し違う。ただ悲しく思え。
It's more like pity. I pity you.
悲しい？何言ってんの？いいじゃない。怒れば。思いっきり憎んじゃえば。
That's the thing, that isn't the black magic, it feeds off hate. That's not what you want. You want understanding and compassion.
憎まないわ。あんたを憎むことはエヴァおばさんの憎しみをそのまま受け継ぐだけ。私は憎しみを断ち切る。エヴァおばさんの苦しみを受け止め、それを払って。
Angie's journey is actually about her throwing away, about breaking the, what was I saying before? It's about breaking the cycle of abuse and hatred and choosing to love instead.
何悟ったようなこと言ってるわけ？こいつ頭大丈夫？っていうかへそでも噛んで死んじゃえば。あんたらもっともっと蹴ってやりなさい。顔とかはダメよ。気の毒な顔がマシになっちゃったらつまんないから。
The black suits persistently kicked my stomach and back. Is she actually going to say to Kasumi, like, I understand now where your hatred of me comes from and I forgive you? As though they'd been ordered to by the Black Witch.
やれやれ、答えないね。私をじーっと見ちゃって。私が憎い。憎いでしょ？私もよ。
Kasumi sneered at me, but for some reason I had the feeling she was crying behind that expression. She's had a life just as unfair as mine forced upon her, and the pain of that never ever heals. The sad lion continues to howl, gasping in pain from the thorn he can't get out.
ほら、スマデラかすみ、見てごらんなさい。かつてのあんたがそこにいるわ。気分が晴れるでしょう。かつてそこにいたあなたが、今度はこっち側にいるのよ。愉快でしょう。立場が逆になるのは。
本当に愉快だわ。なんでそんな顔ができるのよ。エンジェ、泣きなさいよ。泣きたいんでしょ。
そうそう、泣きたいに決まってる。
I bet Maria's gonna pop up. Maria's gonna come on my side and is gonna be the White Witch to battle the Black Witch. That's my guess.
泣かせちゃいなさいって。あの時のあんたは泣かされちゃったじゃない。
Because my whole thing here was for Angie to come and ask for forgiveness from Maria. And this moment right here of Angie realizing all this about what magic is all about, this has got to be the thing, right? If Maria's going to come, this is going to be the thing that's going to summon her.
だからこいつも泣かせてやりなさいよ。エンジェもいいのよ。泣いちゃえば。
泣きなさいよ、エンジェ。あんたの泣き顔が見たいのよ。泣いて、ごめんなさい、かすみおばさんって言ってごらんなさいよ。
そう、その言葉を言わせるのよ。あの言葉、辛いでしょ？ 自分のせいじゃないことを謝らせられるのって本当に辛かったでしょ。同じ思いをさせてやるのよ。そうすることであなたの痛みは和らげることができるの。そうよ、それでいいのよ。もっと自分に素直になりなさい。もっともっといっぱいに自分の感情を吐き出しちゃえば。
The Black Witch stirred Kasumi up, and Kasumi began to give herself over to that dark emotion. She was doing nothing more than turning her deep sadness into cheap booze and forcing it down, trying to forget for just a brief moment. The words Kasumi insulted me with were themselves sad, and I couldn't forgive the Black Witch for taking advantage of Kasumi's sadness. I had gone limp on the ground, which seems to have sapped the black suits of their enthusiasm for kicking. Or maybe the kickers had finally gotten tired too. Kasumi hadn't ordered them to stop, but at some point the violence had halted. However, I was reflected in Kasumi's eyes, and they were burning me with flames of hatred. She had been tempted by the witch into doing that in order to relieve her own pain.
スマデラかすみ、まだよ。まだまだ踏みにじりなさい。あなたの人生はこんなほんのちょっとの乱暴で許せるの？
許せないわよ。まだこれくらいでは許せないんだから。
でしょ？許せるわけがない。もっとよ。もっと憎悪の炎を。憎しみの炎でしかあなたは暖を取れないの。怒りと悲しみの雪原で凍えるあなたを温められる炎は憎しみだけなのよ。ほら言って。叫んで。憎しみの方向で自分を燃やし尽くしちゃえば。
後ろ宮エンジー、あんたを憎まなくちゃ私は生きてられないの。
スマデラかすみ、あの花束を。これ死んだ家族への花でしょ、エンジェ。
The Black Witch grinned at me unpleasantly and used her chin to signal Kasumi to pick them up. Kasumi picked up the flowers I was going to offer, brought them all the way over to me, dropped them in front of me, and made a show of trampling them. Her expression was filled with hatred and a frantic quality that simple hatred couldn't explain. It was as if trampling them over and over again was the only way to prevent the sadness inside her from reaching the bursting point. So the sound of her trampling was downright sad. Here's the thing. If she actually does kill Angie and she still feels sad, what more can she do? She's gotten rid of her outlet for hatred.
あら、この程度じゃ答えない？ならこっちは答えるかしら。スマデラかすみ、こっちを使いなさい。
Oh no, is she gonna do something? She's gonna take the book, isn't she's gonna take Mari's diary. The grimoire.
それは。
Yep. The object the Black Witch pointed at was Maria Oni-chan's grimoire. Kasumi also noticed it and picked up that book, which was heavier than it looked.
なにこれ。
読んじゃえば。お腹がよじれちゃうかもね。
Kasumi opened the grimoire, skimmed over the contents, and snorted derisively. She's gonna start, like, ripping pages out or something, isn't she?
返して。それはお姉ちゃんの。
Of course, my hand couldn't reach. My stomach was once again kicked by the black suits, and I curled up on the ground.
ほらね、この本はエンジェにとっての大切なものでしょ。大切なものをけなしてやりなさい。こういう子には殴る蹴るよりもそっちの方が効くんだから。あなたがそれを一番よく知っているでしょ。
Asumi's face twisted for an instant, as though remembering something painful. It's like she doesn't want to admit that her and I are more alike than she wants to admit. But that quickly disappeared, changing into a scornful smile directed towards me.
なにこの気持ち悪い本。あんたが書いたの？
やめて。 あの顔。もっとけなしてやりなさい。貶としめてやりなさい。尊厳を踏みにじられる苦痛を教えてやるのよ。そうすることでしかあなたの苦痛は和らがないの。
これ恥ずかしい本。少女の時代に多少は占いの真似事に興味を持つこともあるけれど、これはちょっと行き過ぎじゃない？やだ、魔法だってあんたあれでしょ。アニメとかのなんとかなんとかって呪文を言いながら魔女に変身するやつ、ああいうの好きなんでしょ。痛々しいわ。
Cackling, Kasumi opened to a random page and showed it to the black suits. The black suits looked too and guffawed. That laughter wouldn't wound me, but I couldn't forgive it. After all, that laughter was ridiculing Maria Oni-chan. I don't hate Kasumi. For exploiting Kasumi's unhealing anger and sadness, I cannot forgive the Black Witch. That Black Witch ate into Aunt Ava, Sumadera Kasumi, and Aunt Rosa, tormenting them for an eternity without letting their wounds be healed. I can't forgive her. I can't forgive the Black Witch.
何これ、傑作。お空から飴玉を降らせる魔法ですって。何何？お日様で清めたお水にお砂糖を溶いて、魔法の杖を浸して呪文を。痛い。
You know what's cringe is someone saying the word, just saying cringe. The black suits also rolled around, guffawing. Then, grinning, the Black Witch whispered something into Kasumi's ear. Then, after glaring at me with a grin, I knew it! Kasumi took the page. She's gonna rip it. Kasumi grabbed hold of that page, tore it out, crumpled it up, and threw it away. It's like tearing apart Sakutaro. And there is Sakutaro.
ひどいよ。それはマリアの魔法。あら、そうなの？それはお気の毒。
It was one of the magics to summon happiness that Maria had made with Sakutaro. Anyone knows that making sugar water, coloring it with paint, and leaving it by the window isn't going to make candy rain from the sky. But after repeating that every day, one time when she got back from school, she found several pieces of candy scattered around that place. How happy must that miracle have made Maria Oni-chan? What good care she must have taken of those candies, savoring them during her nights all alone with Sakutaro, to distract herself from her loneliness. That magic, which One-chan had created, was torn out, thrown away, and disappeared. The entire miracle of happiness created by that magic, she tore out and threw away.
これも傑作だわ。晩ご飯をクリームコロッケにする魔法。次は何？ピーマンが美味しく食べられる魔法。これも生かすわ。バカバカしい。それも破いちゃいなさいよ。どんどん破いちゃえば。
With a cruel-hearted loud laugh, the Black Witch made her tear out Maria One-chan's magics, one after another. She sneered at those happy magics, ripped them out, and threw them away.
やめろ！やめろ！マリア教の魔法を怪我すな！汚い毒素で怪我すんじゃない！
Memon cried and yelled, but she had no way of reaching Kasumi.
いいじゃない。怪我されちゃえば。魔法の奇跡？幸せにする魔法？ないない、そんなのないってば。痛みと苦しみはね、他人に押し付けてしか癒せないのよ。あんたは確か魔法のお友達とかいうやつだったわよね。 スマデラかすみ、こいつのページを開きなさい。
Oh no, is she gonna make Mammon disappear by ripping up the page?
これは何？魔法のお友達ですって？煉獄の七姉妹？物騒な名前。すごい速さで飛んで敵をやっつけてくれるんですって。エンジェ、あなたこんな魔法が使えるなら今すぐ使った方がいいんじゃない？くだらない。
Yep, the pages that wrote the Seven Sisters of Purgatory were also heartlessly torn away. The pages themselves were just paper. They weren't Memmon's vessel or anything. But the tearing, denying toxin burned Mammon from the inside. Memmon's face twisted from the heat and pain.
大丈夫、マモン、しっかり。これくらい平気。私よりエンジ様の方が。
However, Mammon's expression was twisted in unbearable pain and humiliation.
やめろ、黒き魔女。どうして君はそんなことをするんだよ。どうして魔法を幸せのために使えないんだよ。ああ、あんたも魔法のお友達ね。
Oh, there's probably Sakataro page, isn't there?
あんたも怪我してあげるわ。スマデラかすみ、こい
Yep.
つのページも探しなさい。
こっちは何？この下手くそなライオンの落書き。作太郎？変な名前。一番大好きなお友達だって。そうなの？これがあんたの友達？親友？このライオンが？ねえねえ。本当に下手くそな落書き。こんなブサイクなライオンがあんたなのね。こんなのお友達にしてるなんて、後ろ宮マリアってこの頭のかわいそうさに呆れてへそでお茶が湧いちゃうわ。ばっかみた。へそ噛んで死んじゃえば。うりゅ、マリアをバカにするな。やめて、破かないで。ダメ。
There was a shrill tearing sound, and the page was filthily ripped out. The picture of Sakutaro that One-chan had drawn was violently ripped in half. It's like Sakutaro's being torn apart all over again. Who would think that ripping a picture of a lion would be so sad? Without context, it doesn't make any sense, but...
お前たちも笑いなさい。
Obeying the pair, the black suits laughed crudely, and they heartlessly trampled all over the paper that had been torn and thrown away.
サクタラ、しっかり。僕は悲しくなんかないよ。ただ悔しい。マリアのことをバカにされて何も言えない自分が悔しい。私たちは見えない人間にはいないも当然。私たちは必要としてくれる人間としか。だから家具。
Sakutaro and Mammon supported each other. They slumped down, sobbing. I couldn't stand it either. Only those who can see the world of magic can understand how wonderful it is. It can't be explained to humans who can't understand. And so it is mocked. If only you could show it. But you can't. Because in front of humans who are filled with the anti-magic toxin, and who can't understand magic, magic cannot be used.
本当にわけがわかんないわ。この妄想日記、頭がおかしいとしか思えない。あんたのお花畑の頭の中が垣間見えて本当に面白いわ。気持ち悪い子。
あんたもマリアも、そこのぬいぐるみと家具もね。
おかしいわ。あんた友達いないんでしょ。いっつも一人ぼっちでぬいぐるみがお友達なんでしょ。かわいそうな子。大丈夫、私にもわかるわよ。そういう生活わかるものだから、私が認めてあげるわ。あんた本当にかわいそうな子よ。
From one pitiful child to another, I guess. So, to you, she looks like a pitiful child. Yes, I'm sure she does. If 100 people were to read One-chan's diary and grimoire, all 100 would probably get that same impression. I used to be one of them. But you know, in spite of all that, Mario One-chan still called this a world of happiness. Don't deny that magic, that happiness.
頑固な子ね、あんたは。いいわ。これで最後よ。あんたとマリアの信じた本当にくだらない魔法の根源を引き裂いてあげるわよ。スマデラかすみ、そのページを読みなさい。
なにこのカラフルなページは。なになに、大好きなママといつまでも仲良しでいられる。
Oh boy. Oh boy.
やめて、そのページだけは。
この魔法すんごく簡単じゃない。私でもすぐできそうだわ。こんなに短い呪文なら私にだって覚えられちゃう。やってみようかしら。
本当に簡単な呪文よね。いいわよ、やってあげなさい。みんなも吹き出しちゃうから。
With expressions that ridiculed it from the bottom of their hearts, the Black Witch and Kasumi puckered their lips in the most exaggerated way they could, and said it aloud. The black suit stared blankly, asking what that was supposed to be. Then Kasumi answered, cackling.
これがね、
Oh.
だって。
Oh my god, that's where the ooh ooh comes from, is that's her thing so that her mom will always love her, and the irony being that her mom hated when she said that, and it made her mom despise her. Wow, that took me a second to realize that, like, even when she was being beat by her mom, she was going ooh ooh because she was hoping that that would make her mom love her. Oh my goodness. And she said it so much because, like, her mom was so cruel to her. So she's like, if I keep saying it, then my mom will always love me.
ほら、あんたたちもやってみれば。
Oh my goodness. The black suits imitated that moaning voice, making fun of it. Ooh, ooh. That was the incantation for the magic that would let her always be friends with the mama she loved. Oh my goodness.
このバカみたいなの。
And I feel bad because, like, I would talk about, like, at the beginning of this when I started playing this game about how I was frustrated and annoyed by it too, and I'm like, I was also part of the problem.
言うだけで家族仲が良くなるなら世界はずっと平和だわ。
バカなうなり声。こんなの連呼してたら頭のかわいそうなこと思う。
Oh, that's the sad thing. And she's absolutely right.
バカじゃない。やめろ。その魔法だけはけなさないで。
One day, when Maria, One-chan, and Aunt Rosa had gone on a picnic together, it was written that this was one of the 5 happiest days of her life. And One-chan was singing her mama a song she had just learned from her. Oh, it came from her mom, too? One-chan was happy to see her mama was enjoying it very much. But partway through, she forgot the lyrics. But her mama was enjoying it so much, so she tried to sing until the very end. With ooh, ooh, ooh. She sung it with fake lyrics, but her mama was very pleased. So sad that it turned from something her mom loved into something that her mom despised. And it was part of the reason that her mom's relationship was so fractured with her. But it came from a place of love at the beginning. After that, ooh remained as an incantation to remember that day she had spent in fun and happiness with her mama. Of course, even though Aunt Rosa thought it funny at first. Eventually, she tired of hearing it, and later on started to scold Oni-chan whenever she said it. But to Oni-chan, it was a memory of a fun day she could never forget. So among the magics that Maria created, it was the oldest and the first. Kasumi stuck her fingernails into that page too.
やめて、破かないで。そのページだけは許して。
ダメ。
With a shrill sound, a girl's world of happiness was erased.
うーうーうーこれがあんたらの幸せな魔法なわけ？笑っちゃう笑っちゃう。幸せになる魔法なんてね、あるわけないでしょ。魔法はね、怒りとね、憎しみでできてるのよ。幸せってのはね、自分の背負わされた憎悪を人に全て押し付けた時にのみ与えられる解放感を言うのよ。あんたたちの言う幸せなんて絵本の中にしか出てこないまやかしなのよ。
Next, Kasumi laughed her head off. She slammed the grimoire against the ground and stepped on it.
悔しい？ねえ、悔しい？幸せの白き魔女さんたち。そんなに悔しかったら見せてみれば？あんたたちの魔法あるなら使ってみせればいいじゃない。魔法が使えない魔女なんて魔女じゃない。つまり本当の魔女は私たち。あんたたちなんて魔法の夢で現実から逃避しているだけのクソガキどもなのよ。
What's gonna happen here?
じゃあ、魔法を私が見せることができたら、
Oh boy.
信じてくれるの？
信じるわよ。魔法を使って見せることができた
Oh,
ならね。ならやってみろよ、このクソボケガキ。
I just want to shut this girl up, man. Well, she's not a girl. She's an entity of hatred and stuff. But man, oh man, she is, annoying. I'm kind of upset that she's come back. I couldn't stand her before. I guess that's the whole point, right? She's supposed to mock you and make you hate. Silently, slowly, I stood up. The sensations of the small world, such as the pain in my body, felt truly insignificant.
あら、まだ立てる元気はあったのね。大魔女さん。
And she's gonna be like, I am the reincarnation of Beatrice. I have magic.
立ち上がって何をしてみせるの？見せてみなさいよ、魔法。
魔法はあるわ。
はあ、
Oh, here comes this music.
この子何を言い出すかと思えば。
It's almost like fight music. Not quite fight music, but it's like the final stand.
あんたたち、今の聞いた？静かに。へえ、面白いじゃない。半魔法の毒素を理由に、あんたたちはいつも奇跡の力を拒んできた。白き魔女マリアの弟子。見せてみなさいよ、魔法を。一体どれだけの人間がその奇跡を信じて裏切られていったか知っている？誰もが信じ、誰もが裏切られて絶望した。そして 本当の魔法は私たち黒き魔女の力でしか得られないことを知るのよ。
憎しみを誰かにぶつけるのはただの罪。そんなのは魔法じゃないわ。本当の魔法を
Oh,
私が見せてやる。
I'm excited to see what she's got in mind. The Black Witch winced slightly. However, Kasumi sneered at me even more.
なら見せてごらんなさいよ。それであんたはどの魔法を見せてくれるの？飴玉を降らせる魔法？それともクッキーを増やす魔法？
Oh. The instant I opened my eyes, a tremendous wind arose.
何？突然。
さあさあ、おいでなさい。煉獄の七姉妹。
You know what? Even if I didn't believe in magic, having a girl say that would be kind of creepy. Hey, there they are. There was a flash behind me, and in an instant, 7 high-level furniture were gathered there. It was a power that far surpassed the magical power it had in my prime. It was a power that matched even Mario One-chan and Beatrice.
煉獄の七姉妹、ここに。
エンジ様。
あなたはかつて言ったわ。私に魔力とその覚悟がないからあなたたちを刺激できなかったのだと。私をいじめるクラスメートに仕返しがしたいなんて、そんな安っぽい感情じゃない。私はマリアお姉ちゃんのマリアージュ・ソルシエールの世界を守るために、今こそ魔法の奇跡を見せることを命令するわ。
無理です。いくらなんでもこれだけ大勢の毒素の前では。
The 7 sisters also remembered what had once happened in that classroom. If they could have obeyed Angie's order, they would have. However, surrounded by the toxin that runs thick in humans, they hadn't been able to display the miracle of magic. And they remembered very well how deeply that had hurt Angie. But Angie spoke very quietly.
なら、あなたたちも信じて。マリアージュ・ソルシエールは人を幸せにするために生まれた。そしてそれは黒き魔女と戦うためでもあった。その創立者の一人、原初の魔女マリア教が生み出した世界を否定する愚かなる黒き魔女に、その奇跡を見せ、その世界を守るために信じて。魔法を、魔女を、今こそ奇跡を。
Kasumi gave an order to the black suits. Oh, and one of them took out a gun and pointed it at Angie. Alright, whatever happens right now, I'm gonna choose to believe in magic for a time, because I don't know how she's gonna get out of this without magic.
魔法を見せてくれるんでしょ？なら見せてちょうだい。
Is she gonna create a protection barrier or
魔
something?
法で火の玉でも稲妻でも打ち出して、この男を倒してみせなさいよ。チャンスは一度。3つ数えるうちにやってお見せなさい。できなければ覚悟してもらうわよ。
Or maybe she's just gonna jump off the cliff and survive. That's her magic, is just falling from heights without dying.
撃ちなさいよ。
なんだこのガキ。行かれてやがるぞ。
The black suit pointing the gun laughed at Angie's composure.
本気？こいつ頭の中までお花が咲いてやがる。なら撃たれなさいよ。死んじゃえば。
エンジ無理。中断は魔法では防げないよ。
いいえ、何も恐れることはないわ。私の魔法は、煉獄の七姉妹は銃弾などものともしない。
And then I imagine she just gets shot. She's like, oh, god damn it, okay. Maybe magic doesn't exist. Like, I don't understand how this is gonna work.
エンジ様。
Mammon was flustered by Angie's absolute trust. She would have loved to live up to that trust, if only she could. On that day as well. But she had been unable to do anything, and she had hurt Angie.
ガキめ、魔法が使えるってんなら早く見せてみやがるってんだ。どうしたよ、 早く魔法を見せてみろってんだ。
ほら、遠慮はいらねえぜ。俺にパピョーンと魔法ってやつをお見舞いしてくれよ。
It'd be funny if there was a big wind gust and it flew him off the cliff and they were like, there's my magic. The black suits jeered at her, but Angie simply concentrated her mind in silence.
撃っちゃえば。撃ってみろって言ってるのよ、向こうは。この子恐怖でもう頭がどうかしてるんだわ。バイバイエンジェちゃん。天国で好きなだけ魔女ごっこをしてなさい。撃て。
いいんですか？
おうち死ね。エンジェ。やれるもんならやってみなさいよ、あんたの魔法を。
The black suit cocked the gun and sneering, he pulled the trigger. Alright, let's see what happens. A gunshot rang out and the world stopped. A red spray scattered and chunks of flesh flew. Oh shit. Oh.
何をしてるのマモン。
What?
銃弾ごとき無粋な石ころをエンジェ様に許すつもり？
Lucifer had lined up the bullet perfectly and with a single swing had sliced it in two. And in the chest of the black suit who had apparently fired the gun, oh, there's a hole as big as his fist. Okay, at this point I'm like, it's magic, right? Like, this has got to be magic. Unless Akusama, or whatever his name is, just ran up and is here. I can't explain this.
たまには私が一番乗りでもいいわよね。
Half of Leviathan's body was covered with blood, and she wore a cold smile. Then slowly, the pitiful prey that she had brought down fell over.
貫いた人間を。
バカね。まだあんた信じてないの？私たちの主の魔力。
Oh, I like shutting her up.
これだけの人間の前で権限したっていうの？何を？何？
I know there's a whole thing about Angie just had this big speech about how we should feel compassion for people, and Kasumi's had a rough life, but I'm like, fuck you, bitch! Oh, this is sweet. Kasumi and the rest were thrown into confusion. He certainly seemed to have fired the gun. However, it hadn't hit Angie, and why was the person who fired instead?
これが魔法。見事よ、レビアタン。
Run! Run! Kasumi, run! Run away!
光栄の至り。我らが主に逆らう愚かなる人間どもよ。今こそひれ伏せ、審判の時。どうして人間の世界に魔法は持ち込めないはずなのに、魔法は見えないはずなのに、触れられないはずなのに。
The only way I can actually explain this in human terms is that Angie's already dead at this point and she's just imagining all this.
どうして？
これが本当の魔法だからよ。
何をしてるのよお前たち。殺せ、殺せ。
One of the black suits who had finally come to his senses pulled his gun, aimed.
我らが主に銃口を覗かせる無礼を。私ね。
Those words were his funeral. The man had already been struck through the chest by Lucifer, who had become the stake of pride in an instant. What in the world? Thump. The sound of the second person falling brought it home to the black suits that their lives were unmistakably in peril. Almost paralyzed with fright, the man turned on his heels in an attempt to escape from that place. And in that instant, the stake of sloth...
我が主への狼藉に対する報い。これ式で済んだことに感謝せよ。死ね!
A hole as big as a walnut opened in his right eye, and his head split. Damn! Belphegor was sprayed with blood, and her face twisted demonically with the joy of being able to use her full power. This is supposed to be white magic. This is pretty violent for white magic. This seems like black magic. The black suits panicked, pointing their guns in every direction, but they didn't understand what was happening. They only knew that something terrifying was coming for them from somewhere, but they didn't know where.
バカ！敵はあんたたちのすぐ目の前にいるわよ。魔女の家具があんたたちを狙ってる。
But they couldn't see, because they couldn't believe in magic. They couldn't see. Just as the Black Witch said, Satan was standing boldly right in front of the black suit. However, the black suit couldn't see that at all.
人間に私たちの姿が見えるとでも捉えられるとでも間抜けな人間が魔法に対する畏怖を忘れたる愚かの代償を払うがいい
Yes! Oh, this is so satisfying.
何よこれ。何が起こってるの。
あなたには見えない愛がないから
ありえない。これだけの人間がいて半魔法の毒素をばらまいてるってのにどうすあんた何者なの。
魔女よあんたと違って本物の
うわー畜生この
I just love how cool Angie is about it the whole time. She's so damn cool. As though announcing his candidacy for the fourth victim, one of the black suits pointed his gun at Angie and pulled the... Angie glared at him coldly and simply ordered.
次サタン
踏んでるサタンすでにここにならばが今のエンジェ様と私たちに銃弾ごときが当たると思うか。
The stake of wrath pierced and smashed the bullet fired by the black suit and continued straight on towards the man's face.
己が愚かさを知り地獄で後悔せよ死ね。
With a terrible explosive sound, the upper half of the man's head was smashed. Bathed in scattered flesh and blood, Angie quietly asked one more time.
ねえかすみおばさんまだ魔法信じる気にならないの。
こんなバカなことあるわけないでしょ。認めないわ。魔法なんてあるわけがない。そうよ。魔法なんてあるわけがない。魔女なんているわけがない。魔法はあるよ。魔女はいるよ。うりゃー。
そうよ魔法はあるのよ魔女はいるのよ。そしてこの怒りと悲しみで満ちた世界に幸せの世界への扉を開く鍵にできるの。あんたなんかにそれを否定させない。幸せな世界への鍵はみんなの手に握られてるんだ。それを奪う資格は誰にもないんだ。
それを理解できぬ哀れな人間よ。そなたの人生に魔法の力があったならもっと違った穏やかなものになっていただろう。
Okay, so like, watching this right now, I'm like, maybe the stakes do exist, and they actually did manage to pierce the people in the previous games. I feel like everything's been flipped again. God damn it, how many times does it happen in this game? But I'm just like, I can't explain how this is happening with a human explanation. There's nobody around Angie. Unless she's got a bunch of snipers or something. Like, who can also cut bullets. I don't...
そなたがその生涯において本当の魔女と出会えなかったことを私は哀れむ。
Kasumi let out a piercing scream. At the same time, the two remaining black suits came for me at once and thrusted their guns against my head, like they were trying to use me as a hostage against something their eyes couldn't see. Against the seven sisters of Purgatory, high-level furniture who had now reached the level of weapons, this was completely and totally pointless.
畜生どこにいやがるんだ。攻撃をやめねえとこの浜の命はねえぞ。姿を現しやがれ。
何言ってんのこいつ。美味し らわたをしてるくせに。エンジ様、次は私にお任せを。
許す。殺せ。
ありがたき幸せ。死ねー。
The man's chest split and his guts poured out. This terrible way of dying threw the other man into a total panic. However, Asmodeus' form was already at his back, embracing his neck with her arm and smiling obscenely.
かわいい子。ねえねえ、どこを貫いてほしい？エンジ様、ご希望はございますか？
頭。
かしこまりました。我が主、死ね。
Damn, this is gotta be messed up seeing from Kasumi's point of view. It's just Angie having two people pointing guns at her, and she's literally just saying to nobody, being like, aim for the head, and then the person's just dead, and she's not even fazed by any of it. The final black suit had his head smashed by the stake of lust, and as his insides scattered, he twisted and fell. In that gruesome world where 6 people lay in a sea of blood, witch and human confronted each other.
スマデラカスミ、そなたの哀れなる人生に私は心の底より同情する。その埋めえぬ心の穴を
Wow.
塞げる魔法を授けてもよい。
That's very generous of Angie.
そなたがその魔法を信じるならば。
Yeah, it's like believe in magic or die.
バカなこと言わないで。こんなの私は認めない。
As Kasumi slowly retreated backwards, scared out of her wits, she picked up a handgun that someone had dropped. Then, shaking, she pointed it at Angie.
そうよ、かすみ。
Well,
こ
well,
の
well.
銃で撃ちなさい。あんたの憎しみを銃弾に変えて放ちなさい。殺してやる。殺してやる。あんたを殺さなきゃ私の人生は報われないのよ。そうよ、殺して。引き金を引いて。あいつにあんたのみすぼらしい今日までの全ての怒りを、悲しみを全部叩きつけてやるの。そうでなきゃあんたは痛みと苦しみから解放されないのよ。
やめて、かすみおばさん。黒き魔女に耳を貸してはダメ。
殺してやる。殺してやる。あんたの母親のせいで私の人生はめちゃくちゃ。
なら私の魔法でその人生をこれから少しずつ明るく穏やかなものにもできるか
I
もしれない。
feel like if I had witnessed all that, all my bodyguards being taken out by an unseen force, and this girl just being so cool about it, I would say whatever I could to make her, I'll be like, yes, okay, magic, teach me magic, please, like anything to get out of that situation. But maybe I'm more of a coward than Kasumi.
あなたが魔法を信じ心を入れ替えさえすれば、あなたに新しい世界への扉を開いてあげられるの。
そんなものはないわ。あいつの言う救いなんてどうせおとぎ話の中だけよ。あんたの人生はもはや死ぬまでトゲまみれ。その苦痛の叫びをあいつに聞かせてやりなさい。失ったものは何も取り返せないのよ。そうでしょ、スマデラカスミー。
そうね、何も取り返せないかもしれない。でもきっと新しく何かを生み出すことができる。だからかすみおばさん、その銃を捨ててかすみおばさんにも幸せな世界を教えてあげられるかもしれない。
私はね、あんたの母親が逃げたせいで、あんたの母親のいい名付けと身代わりに結婚させられたのよ。将来を誓い合った男がいたのよ。
Oh boy. Okay.
別れさせられたのよ。
Alright, now we're getting a last minute Kasumi redemption where I'm supposed to feel worse for her. I kind of do a little bit.
あの母親の代わりと継がされて、話もろくにしたことがない男とちぎりを交わさせられた私の気持ちがわかるっての。殺してやりたかった。なのに 姉さんは勝手に死んだ。だからあんたを殺すの。そうでなきゃ私のトゲまみれの人生は終わらないのよ。
From Kasumi's eyes, frenzied tears dripped down. This poor woman, even she had such a Even she had such clear and beautiful tears. But for that very reason, she hadn't been able to withstand her sad pain, and had no choice but to listen to the Black Witch's temptation.
かわいそうに。ならばせめてあなたを。あなたの。
Oh, she's like, alright, I'll kill you then.
塩素の鎖から解き放ってあげるわ。それが今の私にできる唯一の施しかもしれない。
死ねー、後ろ宮エンジェー。
さようなら、かすみおばさん。静かな世界でゆっくりと休んで。
I no longer felt any anger or hatred towards you. I just want to let your soul rest in peace. Kasumi's handgun spat fire. Slowly, that bullet continued through a world frozen to the utmost limit, making its way towards Angie's forehead.
マモ。
強欲のマモ、ここに。
ありがとう。あなたたちと作太郎に出会えたから、私は全てを理解できた。
エンジェ。
作太郎は後ろを向いていなさい。マモ、その女を解放してあげて。
Oh wow, even Angie's got some tears in her eyes. She really does feel bad for her.
そしてマリアージュ・ソルシエルの名誉を守れ。
はい、覚悟せよスマデラ・カスミ。
Even though the world was frozen, the stake of greed flashed like lightning, and was already through Kasumi and out the other side.
貴様に多少の得があるならば、再び煉獄の山で相まみえようぞ。死ねー。
The upper half of Sumadera Kasumi's head shattered. Her cage of flesh was broken, and she was finally released. Damn, that was not how I was expecting things to go. That was insane.
黒き魔女、今となってはあなたにエヴァおばさんの面影を見ていることさえ彼女に申し訳なく思うわ。
私の姿が未だに後ろ宮エヴァに見えているなら、それはあんたの中で未だに私が許せてないということだわ。
So the Black Witch takes the form of whoever has the hatred?
分かっているのよ、エンジェ。あんただってトゲまみれの人生から。
So when Maria sees the Black Witch, she sees the evil mom. She sees like her mom, because she went on about the the witch inside her mom, so she probably sees an evil Rosa.
なら面白いことを思いついたわ。私もあんたに魔法を見せてあげる。あんたを殺すのは私じゃないわ。
With the worst smile on her face, the Black Witch changed her form into something like a black mist, or else a vast swarm of black flying insects, which began to swirl around me. Then the black mist began to amass bit by bit, shaping itself into the form of a human.
何の真似？
うすうすは想像がついてるくせに、あんたが最も憎み恨んだあの女よ。そして女もあなたを最も恨み憎んだ。
Of course it's Ava. When the black mist cleared, over there was Aunt Ava's form, as she had been while alive. In her hands, she was holding a gun.
エヴァおばさんは
お久しぶりね、エンジェ。あんたを殺すために地獄から戻ってきたわよ。
And Ava glared at me, laughing madly.
でもあまり驚かないわ。エヴァおばさんそういう人だったし。
私のお葬式はさぞや気分が晴れ晴れしたでしょ。私も晴れ晴れしていたわよ。あんたの面を二度と見なくて済むようになるんだからね。でもたった一つだけ心残りがあったわ。それがこれよ。
私を殺すこと、それが最後の遺言だったの。
How pitiful. Even after death, Aunt wasn't released from her suffering.
黒き魔女の力こそが私の魔法の源泉だったわ。怒りと憎しみが私に努力と不屈を教えてくれた。それはあんたの言う現実逃避の魔法とは全く違うの。
あんたの言う魔法なんてただの八つ当たりによるストレス解消だわ。私たちの魔法は違う。世界そのものを作り変えるの。あんたの性悪魔法とは全く格が違う。
なら黒と白のどちらが勝つかこの場で決着をつけてあげる。死してなお黒き魔法で復活してあんたをこうして重厚で狙える私の奇跡に、あんたの白き魔法はどんな奇跡で対抗を？半魔法の毒素であなたを取り込んだわ。七姉妹はもう二度と呼べないわよ。さっきの奇跡はもう起こらない。
それでも起こるから魔法って言うんだわ。いいわよマモン、私に力を貸して。
Uh-oh, but Mammon didn't respond. She didn't appear. Certainly, as she said, the anti-magic toxin had burned everything up like a wasteland parched by a blazing sun. This might be a little tough.
呼びかけても無駄よ。もう二度と煉獄の七姉妹は答えない。
だからそれでも呼べるから魔法なのよね。
哀れねエンジェ。さようなら。あんたとのささやかな日々はそこそこに楽しかったわ。これでお別れよ。よかったわね。あんたの終着駅がここ。
So I wonder if Angie actually did die up here, and when they find her body, she'll be shot with a gun, and all of that stuff didn't happen. She actually was killed by one of the guards, but she imagined all this. But then if all those bodyguards actually died, how can you explain that?
ええ、全くよ。気が利くわね。
ありがとう。それじゃお別れね。
The barrel of the gun rose slowly so that you could see all the way down it, and the trigger was slowly. Then there was a loud bang from the gun. Oh, not in the sense that it fired. It exploded. You're kidding me. In shock, inside frozen space, Ava looked at the exploded gun. When time unfroze, the fragments would probably smash into her face all at once. Well... Mammon! Yeah! I don't have enough faith in magic. I would be one of these toxin humans. I didn't think she was gonna get out of that one. I thought that was it. Behind Ava's back, Mammon stood. She had already penetrated the target I'd given her, which was the gun.
これで魔法は十分、エヴァおばさん。
エンジェ。
Beat you again! In the real world and in this world. Then time unfroze. Fragments of the ruptured gun and gunpowder gas burned her face. Letting out a shrill scream, she rolled around, covering her face. It was pitiful.
運がなかったわね。これでゲームオーバーよ、エヴァおばさん。
I signaled to Memon to free Ava quickly from her pain as she writhed around with her burnt face.
ありがとう、マモン。あの日の教室で。 あなたたちの無力を罵ったことを今こそ心の底より、そして再び謝るわ。あなたたちは魔女を守るための優秀な家具だった。
こちらこそ感謝します。良き魔女に、良き主に最後に出会え、家具の本分を尽くせたことを心より光栄に思います。
Mammon understood. This would be the final job I would ever give her. Mammon quietly walked close. Then she looked down upon her.
エヴァおばさん、今日まで付き合ってくれてありがとう。これでお別れよ。Have a nice dream.
She always gotta throw in some English for being cool. She's gotta be cool like that.
See you hell.
Then the light sound of her forehead being perforated rang out. The battle of gunpowder smoke, delirium, and white and black magic was over. Is this it? It felt like it had been a long, truly long journey, and the world slowly sank into darkness. Okay, it's still going. The stars that should be sparkling lay not in the sky, but were scattered beneath me. When I recognized that the pearls and rubies were creating a river of white and red, I realized it was a vast nighttime scene that was spread out below me. I was in the sky of that nighttime scene, neither standing nor flying, but simply floating in the air. From nowhere in particular, I could hear the sound of one person clapping. A truly dull applause. If it's Birkenstock, of course, everything she does is dull. I understood. It was the one who ordered me to go on this journey, Birkenstock.
おめでとう、無限の魔女エンジェ・ベアトリーチェ。あなたは旅路の末に魔法のすべてを理解したわ。ええ、私は今や魔法のすべてを理解。私は魔女よ。マリアージュ・ソルシエールが生み出した魔法世界を継承した最後の魔女。あなたにしかベアトリーチェの世界を切り裂けない。魔法を知るからこそそれに抵抗も覚えるわ。魔法は愛と悲しみと怒りでできている。ベアトリーチェがどんなに残酷な魔女であったとしても、その魔法の源泉は全く同じ。だからこそ彼女のその世界を
This is where we have to find out
本当はそっとしてあげたい。
where her hurt comes from. Something to do with Battler, I'm guessing. This sin. Except she did say that she's not the one that was affected by Battler's sin. We gotta find out who Beatrice is, where her pain comes from to create the magic, and maybe then we can end everything.
少なくとも彼女にとってその世界は完成しているのだから。あなたに家族を諦められるならね。そう。だから申し訳ないけれど、私は戦わなければならない。家族を取り戻せるかもしれないわずかの確率にかけて魔女となる旅に出たのだから。ベアトリーチェを殺さない限り、あなたには孤独な世界しか存在しない。それ100億のかけらを旅した私が保証するわ。分かってるわ。同情してる余地なんて。心を鬼にして彼女の心を切り裂く。その気持ちが揺るぎないならよかったわ。同じ魔女同士情が移って志をくじくんじゃないかと心配したわ。
Coming from a person like her, whose face was almost always expressionless, those words felt a bit hollow. Birkenstock, the enigmatic witch who invited me on this journey.
私、あなたが嘘をついてたんじゃないかと疑ってたことがあったわ。どうして？私は1998年のエンジェだから。家族を救っても、それは1986年のエンジェが救われるだけ。この私が救われるわけじゃない。だから騙されていると思っていたことがあるの。その通り、私はあなたを騙したの。でも今は感謝してる。だって あなたは私に家族の取り戻し方を結局は教えてくれたもの。
私は何も教えてないわ。それを知ったのだとしたら、それはあなたが魔女として自ら至った境地だわ。それは私のそれとは違う境地。私に理解はできないけれど、もしもそうならばおめでとう。
私はこのゲームのプレイヤーではなく駒だとあなたは私に言ったわよね。
ええ、言ったわ。
その役割を今こそ完全に理解した。駒に感情はいらない。ただ勝利のために最善を尽くせばいい。
ええ、その通りよ。ゲームは最善手を差し合うものでしょう。躊躇や戸惑いで指し手をおかしくしてたら対戦相手も混乱するわ。
Sorry, Beatrice, but don't hold it against me. Ushiramiya Angie still needs her family. So I have the right to fight you, so that I can take them back. And you have the responsibility to accept my challenge. So please, don't hold it against me. In exchange, if you do win in this game, I'll give you my blessing as well. Now, let's go. As the piece I am, it is finally time for my true turn. Sorry, Beatrice. I can't hand Oni-chan over to you. Alright, that was a wild episode. I can understand why a lot of people in the comments in the last episode were like so excited for the last little bit of this chapter, and I'm surprised how much there still is. I wasn't sure how much there was going to be left, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to finish it in this episode. I don't even know how much is left, to be honest, so hopefully I'll be able to finish it next episode, but there's a lot to take in. The whole thing with, finding out, like, the magic, black magic versus white magic, Angie finally harnessing her true powers, Ava coming back, learning what the ooh is, that was heartbreaking. And now, Angie is on her way, I guess, to try and take on Beatrice and drag her back into completing this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, I'm sorry I wasn't able to finish it. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments if you think realistically would I be able to wrap up this chapter by next episode. Either way, I'm super excited. Like, this one was wild. This was insane. And I can't wait to see how it ends. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And stay tuned next week for part 48. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons. Nana, Sparky, Dumbass Loser, Tequila Mockingbird, Puncake G, Derek Nickel, Harry Gazif, Asborn Kennedy, and Icognito.